Sluggish Friday. So they say that the measure of our compassion lies not in our service of those on the margins, but in our willingness to see ourselves in kinship with them, and our willingness to be at one with them. It's not for nothing that Jesus says, I was in prison, I was hungry, I was sick. It's interesting that he doesn't say, hey, visit people in prison, feed the hungry. No, he just says, I was in prison, I was sick. That's a very telling thing. I don't know why I thought about this, probably Donald Trump, but triggered this. But 28 years ago, Dolores Mission, the tiniest, poorest parish in the city, I was a pastor at the time, declared itself the very first sanctuary in the whole country, not just for Central American refugees, but also for undocumented men and women who wouldn't qualify for amnesty. It took 6 months for the parish to discern and decide to make this commitment, and when it did, we had a big mass, open-air mass, and it was featured on the front page of the LA Times the next day. So, because it's hard to recall this a little bit, but in those days, just like the first 10 years of Homeboy Industries, where people hate you because you're helping gang members, Dolores Mission got death threats, bomb threats, hate mail all the time. I can remember once I had two homies in my office as pastor there at Dolores Mission, and the phone rang and the guy said, wow, I just read this in the LA Times, I just want to support you guys. What a wonderful prophetic decision. What's your address there? So I gave him the address, and once I did, his whole voice changed. I've never quite ever had an experience like this of something quite sinister. He said, and now I'm going to tell you why I really called. And it was scary. It was just venom, and he just vomited racist, the most foul thing. I just sat there and I finally hung up, and the homies told me I looked whiter than I normally look. You know? So some weeks later, I walk out of my office and I'm heading to the projects to a meeting with some senoras in an apartment there, and somebody had spray painted on our steps "Wetback Church." You know, wetback is a derogatory term for undocumented. I stood there, it was just sort of chilling. Huge letters on the steps. So I went to the meeting with the senoras, and I just said in passing, you know, somebody wrote Iglesia Mojada on the front steps. I'll get the homies to clean it up later on, and there was a woman there, I have not seen her in like 20 years, I was thinking about her. Petra Saldana. Just a holy, courageous woman, a hilarious woman, I miss her. And she said, no, you're not going to clean that up. And I didn't understand, but all the women who were listening, they immediately nodded. They knew exactly what she was talking about. I was clueless. She said, if there is one person in our community who is disparaged and hated and despised and left out because they are mojado, and she rears up ramrod straight in her chair, and she says, then we shall be proud to call ourselves una iglesia mojada. It's not for nothing that Jesus says, I was in prison, I was sick, I was hungry, I was undocumented, I was a gang member, I was a felon. Because the measure of our compassion lies not in our service of those folks, but in our willingness to see ourselves connected to them, in kinship with them.